Hey Cher, this is what's going on with the GreatRm. So we'll open the three files in Camera Raw, and first off, these are not nearly a broad enough bracket, not nearly. And I can do it. I'll use these, but that needs to be. Uh, looks like you were only about a third of a stop different. So there's the bright one. Here's the normal one. And I'm looking only at midtones when I set the brightness level. Okay, and then the dark one needs to be way dark. Okay, so this is about what the three exposures should look like. And this will work fine from these raws. So this one, the middle one, the midtones are nice. The piano, the wood, the main elements of the room, but and the shadows are not. And that's where this and this are going to fill in. Okay, so I've got them all set in terms of brightness. This is the lead image. This is the normal exposure. So now I'm gonna select all. So you can see that all three of them are selected, while the lead image will show me the way. So now I'm going to go up and set the color balance. And the challenge in this room is that you've got strong daylight and strong tungsten, both. So you sort of have to pick one. And there's a lot of neutral items in here. There's the white music on the piano. And look up here in the upper right where you see RGB. When I roll over the white music, you can see it's 230 red, 211 green, 186 blue. So it's heavy yellow, heavy red. Okay? If I click on that, now the white sheet of music is perfectly balanced at 215, 215, 215. It's perfectly neutral. The black on the bench, 30, 30, 34. It says it's a little blue. If we want to click there, now it's balanced better, but it had to add yellow to do it. If you want to click on the black of the piano, that's yet another balance. If you want to click on the white mat as seen through the glass, there's a balance. And if you want to click on the white molding, way closer, not being affected as much by daylight, there's yet another balance. I kind of like this one. I kind of like the white molding. And again, the issue is that you've got strong tungsten and strong daylight all at the same time. So it's mixed light. That's the way it goes. Actually, I'm going to pick that. I like the warmth of that. Now, I think this is, you can see that the blue here is simply a reflection. If you put a mirror here, what you'd be seeing is the window. If you put a mirror here, you'd be seeing this window. Well, the floor is like a mirror. It shows the sheen of that. I'm going to add some contrast. Okay. Not a lot. I personally like adding clarity, which is kind of like sharpness, but not really. These are the settings that I like for sharpening, coming right out of the raw file, and noise reduction. We're at ISO 1000, so there'll be a little bit of noise. And I'm going to set it at 30, and I usually set luminance at twice what I set the sharpening at. Okay. With the contrast that I added, I'm going to brighten it a touch more. Okay, I'm calling that, so I've adjusted color balance. I've adjusted tonality by the changes that I made. Okay, this is about what I would pick. When I raise the brightness in the middle one, yeah. Okay, so once again, okay. Overexposed, normally exposed, underexposed. And you'll see what this does in Bracketeer. And then using the center one, I've set the color balance and the brightness and the contrast. Okay, so I'm going to save these settings as GreatRm. And where that's being saved is where, uh, you know, it's where it goes to when you hit save or load. So I just, I leave it there. I could change it and save it with the project, but I'm saving it. So now I've saved that. I can load that at any time. So for example, well, I'm not going to demonstrate. I can load that at any time. So now I'm going to do save image, and I have them all selected. All three are selected. Save images, and the select folder, I am going to save it where I have the project being worked on. CFP DC Studio Shoot. New folder, rendered JPEGs. Rendered tells me that I started from a raw file. That's my own little code. So I'm in the rendered JPEGs folder. I'll hit select. And we'll just use the document names. Or no, we'll call it GreatRm 5. We'll add a second element to the naming, two-digit serial number. So it'll be GreatRm 5, 1, 2, and 3 in the folder rendered JPEGs. Save. Okay, so down here it tells you that it is saving 3 different JPEGs. Okay, it has finished saving the JPEGs, and I'm going to show you now. This is number 5, GreatRm, your files. When I hit done, it now added the settings files. So the next time I open any of these, the settings file will display it like I just had it. Okay, we're done in Photoshop for now. I'll delete that. Now I'm going to go to Bracketeer. Rendered JPEGs. I'm going to put them in a folder called GreatRm 5. Okay, and then in Bracketeer, I'm going to do batch process a whole folder. 3 images at a time. I could have 30 images in here and it would do 10 in the batch, but right now there's only 1 in the batch. Choose the folder, write project, so render JPEG, so I'm going to choose the folder, GreatRm 5, and now it's going to that folder. Here's the bright one, the normal one, the dark one. You can see them all, and it's processing those. So the bright one has to be really, the highlights need to be blown out. And in the dark one, the shadows need to be so plugged up, because in the dark one, all it's going to take is the outside view. Okay, batch complete. So it added a folder in here called infused files, and that's what it calls it when it does exposure blending. So here is straight up exposure blending of the GreatRm. Okay, that is what Bracketeer did on its own, without any decisions coming from me. I mean, I haven't done anything now. That is, to me, this is the straight up shot that Matt will get. I think it's a bit low contrast, but I'll leave that up to you on your monitor. And now we have the vertical lines to deal with. So we'll go to Edit, Transform. We'll start with Perspective. Because you were aiming the camera a bit left. And so that's a perspective change. Then we'll go to Distort. That lets us do a lot of things. Like we can skew it using Distort. We can stretch it. But right now, I'm just looking at this vertical line. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to grab just the left one and do this vertical line. Because with Distort, you can do that. You can skew it, you can just do one side. The bottom is good. Okay, bottom's good, right side is good, top is good, left is good. So there's your vertical lines. This is actually a little bit up. And I notice it not from the wood, but from the piece by the window back here. Okay, now you can see that we're gonna need to crop in. What we can do is go to Free Transform or Scale. If I hold down the Shift and Option, now it scales from the center out. So there, I filled the frame. Instead of cropping in later, we'll just fill the frame now. And I want to maintain this arch up here. Okay, now I'm going to hit Return, and it will execute all those moves in the Transform tool. I'm going to clear the guides. So here's with the lines corrected. I'm going to take the rubber stamp and at 100%. And fill in that. and fill in this. Okay, and that's, I had to do that because in fixing the vertical lines, we had to lose some of the image. What you're looking at right now is what the camera saw. When you see it on your own computer, and here, HDR, look, you can see all the detail on the white sheet of music. You can see detail in the deepest shadows. That is the definition of HDR. Okay? It's not about bright colors, it's not about oversaturated colors. Now, the tools that you might want to employ from this point out on this image are, you might want to do a little bit of saturation increase. Here's a very minor amount. And I like what it does with the wood, personally. I'm going to save it right there. I'm going to do a folder called Work in Progress, because you are going to do the final adjustments. And you will, and I'm going to save it as a Photoshop file. You will put the finishing touches on it. So what I have done, I have established the tonality. You can see into the darks, you can see into the whites. I have established, and that's HDR, that's the definition of HDR. You see all the shadow detail, you see the highlight detail. So this has just a touch of increase in the saturation on my base layer. I am going to sharpen it, smart sharpen. A small radius, meaning whatever I do won't be chunky. You know, if the radius is big, the corrections get chunky. When I'm holding the gripper hand here, no correction, cranking in the correction. No correction, correction. So if I go down to maybe, let's say a 1 pixel correction, see, it just sort of fine-tunes the small detail in the shot. And I kind of like to sneak up on something like sharpening. So that's the shot as the camera saw it. Call me with any questions. Saving it, and I'll send it to you this way. This will be a long video to render. Bye-bye.